Hey everybody, welcome to another video. I felt I wanted to make this one. I responded to just recently to Perch, Comics by Perch, his new video today. I saw it at lunchtime and then I decided to make a little comment on it. And he's talking about female lead comic book. As you know, if you've been watching my channel, you know that my favorite characters are the female characters. Now, it's probably not always for the best reasons, meaning where he's going with it in context like Marvel or DC, and how that he says that female-led comic books don't sell that well. And I guess that's true. I guess if you look at the numbers. And they're talking about how, and they had a writer who wrote in and talked about, if they made it to 50 or 60 issues, that's like the 5-year point, that shows that the character is popular. I don't know how true that is. I mean, I guess it seems logical, as Perch pointed out, but here's the thing, I mean, and I'm going to show some examples. And we're also going to go through the top 100. According to Comic Book Vines, which is a site I like to go to, according to Comic Book Vines, the top 100 most popular female comic book characters. And they're all over the place. Independence, Marvel, DC, you name it. I'm not necessarily going to comment on their list as far as what order they put them in. Maybe I'll make some comments on where I think people should be, but more or less it's just look at 100 female comic book characters which are popular, whether they have their own book, they lead their own book, whether they show up in other books, what have you. But I've just got to say that I think female comic book characters have been popular for a very long time. Yes, Batman, Spider-Man always seem to sell, especially with younger male readers, but I think, you remember, the majority of people who collect comic books today are middle-aged men like myself. I'm not going to get into race because, I mean, I think it goes through all races. But I'm just saying, but specifically as far as gender and age, I think it's middle-aged men. It's Gen X men, pretty much. Maybe a couple, boomers who are, I mean, the boomers are up there now. But maybe a few boomers here and there. But most, and maybe some older millennials, right? But I would say 40 years old to 60 years old is probably the average age of comic book collectors today and readers. And what's going to appeal to those people? They're not kids, right? And I know, you get into the whole thing where it's just like, I don't understand how comic book female characters, especially sexy characters, can be popular with, with so much porn on the internet now and a lot of other avenues for people to, seek gratification. It's just like, I don't think, I mean, I'm not saying that people don't do that, but for female comic book characters, definitely. But I don't think that's entirely the reason. I think that they generally like comic books. There's probably a lot of nostalgia involved, obviously. But like myself, there's a lot of nostalgia involved. They generally just like superheroes or whatever, comic book characters in general, whether they're fantasy characters, sci-fi characters, superheroes, whatever. I think there's a lot more to it than just, I just want to get my jollies off looking at sexy images of female superheroes, because also with the proliferation of AI now, that stuff's, I mean, that stuff's just a dime a dozen now. It's pretty much worthless at this point because there's just a literal sea of shit that's out there. But I think when it comes to purchasing things or following a story, people look a little bit past that and want something, whether it's the story, like I said, whether it's they just like the look of the appealing character, you name it. And most of the time, all these female characters, they're going to be very appealing. I mean, that's why they were designed that way. I'm not going to get into the whole woke thing. I'm not going to get into all of that stuff too, because, I guess I'll touch on it just briefly, but I think that Even today, if you look at all the comic books coming out, now I'm not saying specifically Marvel and DC, if you look at new comic books, look at all of Dynamite's catalog, right? You know, we're going to cover a lot of these characters that are in those, you know, but you look at their catalog, right? Look at what they're putting out. I think there's still a market for that, and I think there's still people that are doing that. So I guess without further ado, sorry, I wanted to make a point about Perch, and I can't remember what it was now. I kind of got sidetracked. But like I said, that's what spawned this. Now, the other thing I was thinking about was, I can track most of this stuff down probably online. But I'm thinking about going back and, because there's a lot of comic books that came out in the 90s that I never got, and I saw them on the shelves at the comic book store, and I thought to myself, oh, I'd like to get a lot of that, but I can't buy everything. And I really wasn't collecting comic books in the 90s. Like I said, I went away to the Army, and then when I came back, I went to a comic book shop, I think in 1995 or 1996, and I was just walking around, looking at all the stuff. It's like, oh man, there's a lot of female character comic books. I mean, these are the days of, well, we'll get into all of them, because I think they're all on this list. I'm pretty sure. I would say at least 90%. I might be forgetting anybody. And anybody I forget, by all means, in the comments, point out who I'm missing here. But let's look at this list. Bear with me here. I'm going to kind of... I blew it up a little bit on the side. Let's see if I can blow it up a little bit more. Sorry. I obviously can see who 99... We're going to... Darn it. Oh, no, it got bigger. Okay. Let's go... See how big that is. That might be too big. Oh, wait. Oh, it's putting them all... Okay. That's too big. Let's do this. This is probably a good size here. Okay. Let's try this. Sorry, I should have did this before we started, but my apologies. All right, number 100. Remember, these are supposedly the most popular female characters. I'm not going to say of all time. I'm just saying most popular female characters. Whoever made the top 100. So, at number 100, we have Vixen, DC character. I like her. I think she's cool. I like her in the new Birds of Prey. I guess somebody's got to take the 100th spot, but it just seems like they pushed her down kind of far. Dagger. I've always liked Dagger. The Cloak and Dagger comic from the 80s, the miniseries. I had both of them. I really liked those. She's very appealing. Obviously with her all-white bodysuit. Again, I guess she hasn't really been doing much lately, so maybe that's why I pushed her down so far down the list. Again, I'm not really commenting on where people are on the list. I'm just commenting on the people who exist and the fact that they're considered popular characters. Now again, Dagger, can she lead a comic book? I don't know. They've never tried. Can Vixen? Same thing. I don't know. Maybe Vixen has had a... I don't know if Vixen has had a what do you call it? Her own series or not. Freefall. One of my favorites. Gen 13. One of the only comics I really collected in the 90s. Freefall from Gen 13. Very appealing. She hasn't really done a lot lately, so they probably pushed her down the list. Again, I guess I'll stop with that. Lady Lawrence, or Lady Liberty, or Liberty Bell, I can't remember what her name is. DC character. Yeah, she probably couldn't lead her own. Maybe, I don't know. Again, give it a shot. Start it out for like a. Just do like a 4-issue limited. That's how they tested out Gen 13. They did a 4-issue limited series, and then it caught on. Same thing with this. Throw out a limited series with this character and see if it catches on. If it doesn't, there. You're only in it 4 issues. Lady Lamaris. I don't know who this is. It's like some of these I'm going to come across. I don't know who they are. Let's see if everything's going to go to crap here if I try to open another tab. I guess I can't get to the tab now. Great. Okay. So let's just put a pin in some of these. I probably won't get back to them. I'm assuming this is probably, and I don't know what it is, what this character is. Again, if you know who these characters are, just plop it in the comments. Just say, at least tell me the company, the publisher, or maybe a series that this character's in. Phantom Girl, I'm pretty sure that's, even though she looks a little odd, I'm pretty sure that's Legion of Superheroes. There's a lot of female characters in that. Can they, can they lead a comic book? Maybe. At least do a limited series, maybe. Try it out. See if the character generates some buzz. See, there's the thing about a lot of this stuff is nothing's guaranteed, right? And if you want to, minimize your investment, then just do small, short, a limited series. Just tell a simple, self-contained story that kind of features this character as the lead, and just throw the stuff out and see what sticks. If anything, a lot of people who like some of these second and third tier characters, would like to see a little solo project, with those characters. And there's just so many comics being produced that I just don't understand why some of these companies, especially DC and Marvel, just give it a shot. What do you have to lose? Okay, you're out 4 issues. You had to pay for 4 issues to be published. I'm sure they're going to sell somewhat. I don't think it's going to be a total loss. Chastity. Oh, that was another one I forgot. I think isn't she a Chaos Comics character? Or started out in Chaos. I think she's in Dynamite now. I can't remember. I guess it is kind of. I guess it would be nice if I could. Let's just turn off the full screen. See if that fixes it. Okay, we'll turn that off. And then I open that up. Oh, good, it stayed big too. All right, she appears in 230 issues. That's a lot. What? Metropolis University. So yeah, DC. Yeah, there we go. Looks like she showed up a lot in Action Comics. So she's DC. I figured she was DC, but it wasn't 100% certain. Okay, where are we at? Chastity. I'm just curious what... Yeah, it was Chaos. I figured it was Chaos. So, yeah, and obviously with with Chaos Comics, I mean, we're going to be talking about a lot of them, too. I mean, those are a lot of very female fan favorite who still go today, thanks to Dynamite. Dynamite kind of taken all the Chaos characters, and they're still going strong today, so... Obviously, they kind of grouped them together. They'll do Purgatory will show up in Vampirella, or, they'll kind of move them around in this, shared universe now. Yeah. Sorry. She who shall not be going named over there is barking at me because I must have said something close. Vicky Vale, obviously DC. Vicky Vale popular over, I guess some of these characters are pretty obscure. But I mean, they're not too obscure. There's obviously more than 100 characters out there, and they made it to the list, so that's saying something. Hawk Girl, very popular character, DC. Thundra, personal favorite of mine, Thundra from Marvel, part of the Grapplers, that whole thing. Could Thundra carry her own series? I bet you she could. I bet you if it was done right, and I bet you if they featured the Grapplers and maybe brought the Thing in, for a little bit of what do you call it? I can't remember what they call it. It's slipping my mind. Some name recognition, I guess. Yeah. So, bring the Thing in, but feature Thundra. I think they could do that. I'd like to do that. I'd love to do a Grappler series and feature Thundra and do Thing and all those characters, but I don't think Marvel's going to let me do any comics. So Emerald Empress, cool looking character. I always just assumed she looked a lot like Polaris, but she's Emerald Empress, of course, Legion of Superheroes, one of the villains. Blonde Phantom, let's see what she's in. Nice thing about this too is also it looks like Marvel. Um, oh, she had 48 appearances in Sensational She-Hulk, and I don't know who she is. Wait, blonde. Oh, that's Wheezy, isn't it? Isn't Blonde Phantom like what Wheezy? Yeah, Golden Age. Yeah. It's Wheezy. Okay, I forgot that's what she's called. That's right. Wheezy's supposed to be, she's like the older version, because she's before She-Hulk's time. But what was I saying? I can't remember now. Sorry. So we got the Blonde Phantom. Huntress, great character. Obviously, DC. I think Huntress, she couldn't. Well, I mean, I don't know about today. I mean, obviously, Birds of Prey, she was featured heavily in that. That's a fan favorite. Birds of Prey still going today. Huntress isn't in the Birds of Prey, but the Birds of Prey are still, strong today. I mean, they're still putting out the comic. I enjoy it. I like it. I like Big Barda being in it. That's pretty cool. Got Black Canary in there. Yeah, I mean, I guess they can't put out a solo comic book for every single character, male or female, right? I mean, I think if you think about it that way, I mean, can they really... Is there a lot of male characters that couldn't lead a comic book too? I mean, you really got to be honest with yourself. Just because they're female doesn't mean they instantly, they can't lead a comic. I think the Huntress could. I mean, she led her own kind of series-ish back in Detective Comics, and that all compiled together. Can she do it on her own? I would have liked to have seen, even back then, I would have liked to have seen that as its own comic than having to read Detective. But obviously, using Batman to sell it is an effective strategy. Wasp, Avengers, founding member. Can she carry a comic book today on her own? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I always liked Phantom Lady. Phantom Lady's cool. I can't remember exact. I know she's in DC, but what was she originally? I can't remember. Yeah, this old Phantom Lady. Whatever that was. That still DC? She's in the Freedom Fighters. That's DC. All-Star Squadron. Just curious. What does it say? Publisher DC Comics. Has it always been DC? I thought she was a Golden Age, like one they just snatched up. I think she's in... Well, no, she's not public domain if DC's had her that long. But anyways, I really like Phantom Lady. Obviously, showing a lot of skin. She's very appealing. Rose Wilson... I don't know much about her. I mean, I know she's, the... What do you call it? Deathstroke. Basically, Lady Deathstroke. I don't, like I said, I haven't really read a lot of where she appears in Teen Titans, so I couldn't really tell you exactly. She's appealing looking. I mean, the Deathstroke costume is so cool looking, and then you throw a female in there with some, looking like she does, and it is appealing. I just had to do a commission just recently with her, and I had to look her up because I'm like, huh? I didn't really know that much about her. Raven, I mean, I'm surprised Raven's down this low on the list, but yeah, there's Raven from Teen Titans, DC. Can she carry a book on her own? I don't think she needs to. See, some of these characters, I mean, they've did like Spotlight limited series on some of these characters, like Starfire had her own, Wonder Girl had her own, and then of course the new Wonder Girl, what's her face, the Brazilian girl. Name's totally skipping my mind. Oh, I can't remember her name is. Anyways, Raven, yeah, she doesn't need to. Like I said, some of these characters don't need to lead their own. Namora, what do you call it? Submariner, Marvel, Saturn Girl from Legion of Superheroes. She's pretty popular. She's always been a popular Legionnaire. Shauna the She-Devil. Shauna's carried, I mean, Frank Cho brought her back to life in the 2000s. I think she's still under Dynamite now, and I think she's still got comics coming out. So, she originally a Marvel character. I think she might have gone, I'm assuming it's the same Shauna the She-Devil. Maybe she went, what do you call it, public domain. Marvel never really had her. And then now she's exclusively I don't know. I don't know that much about her, but I know who she is. Also very popular. Sorry. Dream Girl. I'm assuming that's a Legionnaire. Am I right? Yep. I was right. Okay. Yep. Legion of Superheroes. Again, and with Legion of Superheroes, I mean, you could spotlight, like, I'd like to see a Dawn Star, comic, but do they need to lead their own comic? Not really. Great comic. Oh, I love Velocity. She's one of the only things in Image that I actually liked was Velocity and part of Cyberforce. I always liked her then. I always just liked her character. I made a character called Mercury once that was pretty much just a carbon copy of her. And anyways, and then of course that Rocafort. I can't remember what the first name is. That artist who draws, I think that's a Rocafort piece right there. Had that limited series, real cool artwork, a real look almost like heavy metal artwork. Featured her in it. Good stuff. I look great, very appealing character. Obviously, she's the sexiness on her is super toned up. Tigra, fan favorite. People love her. She has had her own issues at some point, but again, putting her, she's an Avenger, so just keep her in the Avengers. I said some of these characters don't need their own, but it would be nice, I think they should at least give everybody a shot. I mentioned in the Perch comments, I think it would be cool, this is just my idea, I'm just spitballing here too, is to take like 12 issues of a year run, monthly run of a character would be cool. And even if she didn't go a second year, that's fine. Then it would be, just put that same money you're going to invest and try another character. I would keep like a running yearly book, or maybe even a half a year. Maybe just do 6 issues, 6-issue arcs you could throw out in trade. And just do these series and just spotlight every one of these popular characters that obviously fan favorites and just see what catches on. If you get enough writers and you get enough talent on it, maybe somebody can, knock one out of the park. And you got to think about it like that, like baseball or sports or anything like that. How many shots on goal are there? How many, at-bats are there? How many attempted plays are there in football? And then how many score, right? How many win the game, right? Not every one, but you got to try. You got to keep trying until you get it. So same thing here. How many shots on goal can we get and get a couple of goals? Let's say we get 4 goals out of 10 shots on goal, then boom, right? You got to hit on your hand. I just found some Pantha comics. This is one of those ones that used to come out in the 90s that I would see, and I never had any. I might have had one, but I was like, I couldn't really catch the continuity of it. I'm going to go back and read some of these, and again, I'm probably going to do reviews on these as I find them, and do that. Now, Star Sapphire, I guess her name's Carol Ferris. I didn't know that. Maybe I did. I'm just making sure it's the same person. Yes, that's exactly what that is. Can she carry her own comic? I don't know. She's a villain, but it'd still be kind of cool. Give it a shot. Obviously, you can put Green Lantern in it a bunch of times. Use his name recognition to kind of sell her issue. Ghost. I remember seeing it. I know it's a Terry Dodson thing. I don't know if he created it. That's a good question. Let's find out. Did Terry Dodson create Ghost, or he just the first artist on it? Yeah, this is a Dark Horse. This is very popular. Let's see. Creator Eric Luke. Okay, but Dodson was definitely one of the first artists. With the greatest comic book world source book. Here's 152 issues, like I said. So this character is a popular character. Obviously, led her own book. So I'm gonna have to do a delve into some Ghost and check her out and see what she's all about. I've always been aware of her, but I never, jumped in. Dazzler, everybody loves Dazzler. I think, isn't Taylor Swift going to play Dazzler in a new movie or something coming out? You know, she's a, blonde bombshell. I do not like her. Actually, she's supposed to be more of like a strawberry blonde, but they draw her pretty close to, I mean, she almost looks like Emma Frost there. Natalia Castle, one of the Danger Girl kind of characters. Again, think about some of these most famous artists that are known for drawing sexy women. I mean, that's a thing all unto itself. People call it's sexy women comics, right? Or sexy woman comics. You've got J. Scott Campbell, obviously, Danger Girl. You've got Terry Dodson used to be sexy girl artist, and then it seems like, I don't know, seems like he kind of is really pulling back on that, trying to get away from that. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I always liked his stuff. But he was known for being sexy. Frank Cho, obviously, sexy girl artist. There's tons of them. I mean, almost every artist that I keep naming here, at some point, that have been around for a while, were, considered a sexy artist comic. Mike Deodato is one that's funny. How he kind of went, he did Terry Dodson. They did a 360 here. Maybe they're thinking, maybe the rationale is, when they were younger, they were doing these more sexy girl comics. Now they got older and more mature. They found the error of their ways, and they said, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. Oh, God. Hey, I'm 50 years old, and I'm still drawing sexy ladies, right? Call me whatever you want, but, I don't know. I find people who, I'm not saying those guys do make a thing out of it, but if you do make a thing out of it, you're just being a dick, really, Zealot, popular character. She's in Birds of Prey right now. Obviously started with Wildcats. I did find the Battle Chaser comics. I never liked them. I don't like that style. I think that style, it didn't appeal to me back in the day. And I know a lot of people love the artist's style. Can't remember the artist's name off the top of my head. But Battle Angel Lolita. Battle Angel Chaser. What was the comic called? She's not the main character, but she might as well be, because, I mean, obviously, people, just Battle Chasers. Okay. Who was the character? Who's the guy? Oh, Joe yeah, that guy. That's the artist. A lot of people like him. I'm not gonna say I don't hate him, but I mean, he never really appealed to me. Yeah. So she wasn't technically supposed to be the main character. At least I don't think she was. But obviously, she pretty much became the main character. I'm gonna read these. I've never read them, so I'm gonna go back and read them and give you my opinion on them. So I guess this video is kind of like the overview, or the issue 0. It's the springboard to, I think I'm going to make a bunch of videos of just reviewing a lot of these female-led comic books, and go back to like their issue number 1s, or their first appearances, and tell you, or whatever comic started the whole thing, and give you my honest opinion on what I think. Valkyrie, Marvel. Great character, Defenders, obviously. She really plays up the sexy there. A lot of people like her for that, including myself. J.J. Sachs. Give me a second. Go ahead and make the jokes about 69 first while I'm thinking. I give up. What's she from? DC character and a Marvel character? Wait a minute, what? What's going on here? Alright, Juanita Jean Sachs. DC Comics is the publisher. First appeared in Marvel Age 129. That's odd. She appeared in Marvel Age 129, but then she's a DC character. There's something weird about that. Peter David created her. Appeared in 26 issues. Oh, yeah, I know. There she is with Scarlet Witch. I don't know. I don't really know the character that well. Fallen Angels, blah, blah, blah. Wait a minute. She's there with... It's weird. Okay. Whatever. Madame Mirage, I got a couple of her comics. I always thought the artwork was, because it's that Rockefort guy. I thought his art was very appealing. I think I read those, but I can't remember. So obviously they're, well, for me, but maybe they were forgettable. I don't know. I haven't really seen her do much since then. I don't know. Nice art though. Lilith Clay. Why is that not ringing a bell? I wanted to say Legion of Superheroes, but probably wrong. Here, let's see. Well, it was DC, I was right. In the Titans. Lilith. I don't remember her. Is she like a Rebirth character? No, she's back in there, too. Oh, going back to the Teen Titans, huh? Why is it just not ringing a bell? Alright. Whatever. I can't know them all. Nice looking character though. Very Jean Grey looking. Sydney Savage, of course, she was my favorite of the Danger Girl characters. J. Scott Campbell, that's good stuff. Talia al Ghul, obviously from Batman and DC. I never really liked the whole Ra's al Ghul thing. I'm not a huge Batman fan anymore. I liked him when I was a kid. I'm talking like less than 12 years old. I liked Batman. In my teens, I kind of liked him just because I got caught up in the whole Dark Knight and then the Keaton Batman thing. But really, I'm not a huge Batman fan. I got the She comics, at least the first few of them, and I'm going to read through them. That's one of those characters that was literally on the shelf when I was a kid, and I was in my 20s back in the 90s, and I kind of walked around. I was just like, who is this character? I keep seeing this character pop up. Obviously, with the Japanese-inspired kabuki, that whole thing. So I don't know much about her. So I'm going to go back and read those comics, and I'm going to do a review on it and tell you what I think about her. But again, female lead character was very popular. One of my personal favorite characters right there, Spider-Woman. I love Spider-Woman, and I still read her comic today. I think I'll keep, as long as she stays in that costume, because I'm not really a big fan of that other costume. But if she keeps wearing the red costume, the classic costume, I'll keep reading it, and see what it is. I enjoy the ones that are out now. I love the big fight between. I'm doing a parody of that right now of the fight between her and Zax. It's like a real fourth tier Marvel deep cut Marvel Universe. I thought that was kind of cool. I thought it was really cool, to tell you the truth. Madeline Pryor, love Madeline Pryor. Obviously, she was just in the new X-Men 97. Really like her character. Again, could Madeline Pryor carry her own comic? I don't know. Maybe. It just depends on what they do with her. Dolphin, I've never been a huge... I like Swamp Thing. But when, Alan Moore was on it, it got super popular. I never really read it that much. So I couldn't tell you a lot about her. Voodoo, now, she's changed a lot. That was one of those characters from Wildcats, with Jim Lee, and, basically, she's part of that whole, 90s thing where everybody was, everybody's in thongs and crazy proportions and crazy over-the-topness, which I guess, seems like, here's the only thing I'll say about the woke. I don't know if it's really necessarily the woke thing. It just seems like a lot of, Marvel and DC really are trying to get away from that and tone that down, and they have been actively kind of doing that. But I think it still pops. It's not as gratuitous as it was in the 90s, and I don't think it'll ever get back to that. That was like the Wild West back then. But, I think they could, maybe just pull it back on, I'm trying to desexualize the character. I'm going to say hypersexualize them, but maybe pull back on the desexualization. Just kind of go for a happy medium. I think with, what's Spider-Woman right now? They put her back in the red suit. You can't really draw her in a red suit, a skin-tight red suit, without showing her sexy, but they're not hypersexualizing her, and they don't really, focus in, and I think they're doing a pretty good job of keeping it somewhat tasteful. At the same time, you know, a little titillating, I guess is the word. I don't like that word. Glorith from, you know, this was kind of like from Legion of Superheroes. Sorry, this is kind of like the norm. It was always put her in a leotard, give her thigh-high boots, maybe a cape, maybe not. Put those, like, you know, long gloves, some kind of tiara or mask or something. That was like the standard female character costume. Leotard, big boots, big gloves, big hair, big thing. And that's pretty much went into the 90s. But I like it. I like that look. Tarot, obviously Jim Ballant's character, who he did, you know, the 90s. The Catwoman got her own series in the 90s, you know, and they put her in the purple suit. I mean, it's my favorite. It's what a lot of people's favorite is today. And they've got her back in the purple suit, the Ballant suit. But he left, you know, and did his own thing and started this tarot, the witch something? Tarot of the something witch, I can't remember. I'm just curious, so I can, you know, not look like a complete buffoon here. Tarot... Witch of the... What was it? I can barely... He's got so much going on. Witch of the Black Rose, that's what it is. Tarot Witch of the Black Rose. And obviously he really hypersexualizes the stuff. He's kind of a nut, like me. She's got 131 issues. That's insane. So he's just putting it out for the sheer fact of putting it out, or she's popular. But obviously they put her kind of like almost mid-range on the list, and she's beaten out a lot of classic characters, so she must be popular. And she's obviously carrying her own book. Crystal from the Inhumans. I like Crystal. I think she's cool. I actually kind of like that. That looks okay. I like the short hair. A lot of people don't like short hair. I like short hair in a girl. You know, you're like, oh, I don't like it. Looks too, you know, makes her looks like a lesbian. That's like such a normie thing to say. Like a normal, you know, like I don't even like comics. Like I'll make fun of you for liking comics kind of statement to say. You know, my son says stuff like this. Like, oh, I don't like that girl. She's got short hair. It's just like, man, when I was a kid, especially, you know, like the you know, new wave and all that stuff back in the 80s and into the 90s and stuff, short hair was very appealing to me. Polaris, speaking of appealing, there's a character I really liked, obviously, X-Men. Big hair, well, they don't got her in a leotard anymore, but could the Polaris carry her own book? Maybe. Batwoman, who did carry her own book. I think there's too much Bat crap. You know, Batman's fine. I don't mind a Batgirl. You need a Batwoman too? It's just like, I know it's popular. I know it sells. I know all of that. But it's just, I get kind of sick of it. But she's cool looking. I think she's got a neat look. I mean, basically she's a red and black Batman costume with like a Scarlet Witch look to her as well. You know, whatever. I know the TV show failed and all that, blah, 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 blah. That's what I'm talking about. They're throwing crap at the wall and see what sticks. Obviously that didn't stick, right? Okay, move on. It's not, you know, this isn't rocket science here. Gwen Stacy, I like Gwen Stacy. I like the character. I like, specifically, Spider-Gwen. I like the character. I thought it was a cool character when it came out. I didn't really like her comic so much, but I like when she would appear. I think she's really appealing looking. For some reason, though, I just, like, again, it's just like Batman. There's too many spider people out there. You know, I don't mind Spider-Man and Spider-Woman, right? I think there's a Spider-Girl for a while, right? That's fine. But one counterpart is fine, right? So Batman, Batgirl, right? I guess you could call her Batwoman if she's older. Whatever. Same thing with Spider-Gwen, right? Or with Spider-Man. You got Spider-Man, Spider-Woman. That's fine, right? One counterpart. Not this whole Spider-Verse thing. I know it's popular. I know people like it, but just I don't personally. You know, my personal opinion, my objective opinion, I don't like the whole Spider-Verse with all that stuff. It's just too complicated. Purgatory is another one. I'm trying to find her comics, like the old comics. Not, I mean, I know she's still going strong now in Dynamite, but I always, when Lady Death came out, I thought she was cool. She's obviously on the list. When I got the Lady Death, I thought she was cool. Oh, that's really neat. But when I saw Purgatory, I was like, I love the red skin. I was like, oh, the jet black hair and the bat wings. I was like, oh, that's cool. I really like that a lot. And then I was like gaga over, I had the action figure, like the old Chaos comic action figure back in the 90s. And I really liked the character, but I never really, I guess I did get a few of the issues. I guess I did read it. It's been, getting old, I kind of forget. I mean, granted, look how many characters we're talking about here. It's just like, I've pretty much nailed most of them as far as knowing who they are. So to keep all of this information in my head, obviously watch my videos of all this, the useless shit that is in my head. I can't keep it all straight. I can't know it all and be able to, regurgitate it by memory. I guess if I read it, I probably would remember reading it once I read it. Aspen Matthews, Fathom, again, appealing character. The art looked really nice at the time. I know the guy killed himself. I believe he killed himself. Or did he die from died from something like leukemia or something? I know that the guy, Michael Turner, the guy is dead, and I can't remember what happened with that. I did find them to be a little, they did like a little gaga over after when he passed away. And they really started to like make it more than it was. I don't know. It's something about that whole thing kind of rubbed me the wrong way back then. I don't know. I can't remember exactly what happened about that. But I bought Fathom #1 when it first came out, and I was like, oh, it's really nice looking. She's very appealing. I just thought to myself, I thought it was Mark Silvestri at first. I thought, oh, the guys who did obviously Mark Silvestri, one of my favorite artists. Maybe he's not doing Witchblade anymore. Maybe he's doing this comic. And I realized, oh, it's some other guy. Lady Blackhawk, DC character. She's cool looking. She's got that classic, look. Haven't really got into her a lot. So I couldn't tell you a lot about her. Deja Thoris, obviously, Edgar Rice Burroughs, Princess of Mars. They really, and they really hypersexualized her, and she's really going strong. She sells books. I mean, like, guys, this is a no-brainer here. It's just like, sex sells, right? And it's going to sell to primarily dudes, but there's women out there that like it too. And, I don't understand why it's such a problem anymore, or why people get so uptight about it and stuff. I mean, if I got angry and huffy and puffy about every single thing that bothered me or triggered me or or offended me, right, I would be a lot more miserable than I already am. But you know what, at the end of the day, I just don't have so much energy. It's just like, it's fine. There's things out there that piss me off, but do I have to worry about it 24? I have to go online. I guess I am going online and bitching about some things. So, all right, I retract that. But you know what I'm saying is I can't can't go after everything, and I can't put that much. I only have so much energy at the end of the day. I gotta pick my battles. Silver Sable, great character. I haven't seen her in a lot, and I liked her when she showed up in the McFarlane Spider-Man back in the day. What she's been doing lately. I'm not a big fan of this look, but Silver Sable's a cool character. So this is Mary Jane. I've just kind of popped my head and looked at the Black Cat and Jackpot comic. I thought it was Medusa. But I guess it is Mary Jane. Mary Jane wants his actress, blah, 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 blah. Okay, they got her as Mary Jane, but that's the costume, though. I'm just wondering why... They mentioned it? Character evolution. They mentioned the jackpot. I thought it was Medusa, because there's a couple of scenes I saw with the hair, where she's using her hair. Let's see. Peter with now famous line, "Face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot." Is that what they call her, jackpot? I guess I gotta read more into it. Yeah, I always thought that the jackpot character was... Yeah, there's the jackpot count right there. I thought it was Medusa, because she's using her hair to, like, grab stuff. I guess it's Mary Jane? Okay, whatever. People saying, like, "Oh, the character's terrible." It's Mary Jane. I mean, she's got a skin-tight suit on, you know? She's drawn pretty sexy in the comic. What's not to like? Silver St. Cloud. I'm going to say DC. It just feels DC. What do we got here? I was right. DC. I don't know who it is. Silver St. Cloud. Oh, Batman shit. Okay. Yeah, Batman shit. Whatever. She must be popular. She's 47. Silk Spectre. I'm not going to get into my spiel on Watchmen, but yeah. She looks nice there. But yeah, I'm going to skip my Watchmen talk. Wonder Girl. That's the one girl. I can't remember her name is. Kara. No. What the hell's her name? Cassandra, that's what it is. Couldn't remember her name is. Jade, I think Jade's cool. I always like Jade. As far as I'm not a huge Green Lantern fan, but I always thought Jade was cool looking. And I liked her in Infinity Incorporated. Invisible Woman. Again, can she carry her own book? She doesn't really need... She is in her own book. She's the only female in... outside of Alicia Masters and, occasionally She-Hulk, she's pretty much in her own book. I mean, she's in part of Fantastic Four. Breaking her up and putting in her own book's kind of stupid. That's why they never did it. Lois Lane. I've never been a Superman fan per se. I mean, I like dark-haired girls look like that, but I've never been a huge Lois Lane person. There's Medusa. I like Medusa. See with the hair. That's why I thought it was jackpot. Terry Dodson's doing the art. She's all hypersexual, but she's sexualized, right? Power Girl, I don't like this new costume. And you've got, she's pretty tight. It's all white. I mean, it shows her curves, but I just don't like it. I'm just not a big fan of it. The jacket with the gloves and the white, maybe I like it. Obviously, everybody goes right to the boob window, but I just like the legs. I like the legs hanging out. I like that. But I've been looking at... I was thinking about subscribing to Power Girl, but I don't know. It's okay. I have to read some more of it online before I subscribe. Love Big Barda. One of my favorite DC characters. Love Big Barda. She's in... what do you call it right now? Birds of Prey. It's pretty cool. I like her in there. She's pretty funny in there. She's like, not purposely being the comedy relief, but she's being the comedy relief just because of the things she says. It's pretty funny. I like her a lot. Rainmaker, she was probably my least favorite of the Gen 13 girls, but it looks like she's more popular than, what's her face? Roxy. I can't remember. What do they call it? Freefall. Yeah, Freefall. Cheshire. She's cool looking. I like her. She's DC, right? Isn't she Batman? Blah, blah, blah. Let's see. DC. Oh, no, more Birds of Prey Teen Titans. Okay. That's right. Yeah, she is in Teen Titans a lot. Yeah. Enchantress, great character, great look, fan favorite. Villain. I mean, villains aren't really going to carry their own book. I mean, I know there's the Catwoman book, but she's not really a villain. She's more like an anti-hero. But you know, some of these characters, like Loki. You know, I guess Loki carries his own stuff. But could Enchantress do it in a comic book? Maybe. Like I said, some of them they don't need to. Black Widow should be able to carry her own book. She's had solo books out before for Marvel. I like the gray one, the gray with the short hair. That's what I remember, the short hair. That's one of the characters I liked because it had short hair. Was the short hair? How many times am I going to say short hair? Black Widow. Sorry, man. I'm trying to wrap this up. We're almost to the top. Storm 34. Seems like they pushed her down a little far. I like Storm. Always have loved Storm since the X-Men. You know, since getting into comic books, I've always loved Storm. Could she carry her own issue book? She does. Again, she doesn't need to. She can lead the X-Men, not lead her own comic book. That's a lot, you know. She's fine where she is. Let's just keep her there. I know she's all over the place right now in modern X-Men, but you know what I mean. Cyblade. What is Cyblade from? I know the name. I want to say... Cyberforce? No. Yeah, Cyberforce. Yeah, Cyberforce. Okay, it's the same character. Oh, she's more popular than what's her name? I can't remember her name. Gosh, oh my gosh. Gone too long in this video. My brain's starting to fall apart. I need a drink, is what I need. Not Mercury, that was my character. Velocity. There we go. Sorry. I remember it. Supergirl. I like Supergirl. I've never been a huge Supergirl fan, but I like Supergirl. Obviously, she can carry her own book just fine. Venus. I'm your Venus. I'm your fire. Your desire. What? Venus is from what? Marvel. I don't know the character that well. I don't know what that is. She's appealing looking. She's got the legs hanging out. That's fine. Domino. Love Domino. Love that costume too. I have that skin in Fortnite when I play with my son. I really like Domino. I'd like to see more of Domino. I don't like the fact that in Cyberforce, or not Cyberforce, X-Force, they don't really have a lot of Domino. You know, feature her a lot prominently. I would like her to be featured more. Because I like that look. I really like that look. Those colors and everything. She's very appealing. Baroness, I mean, I guess there's nothing really to say about the Baroness. The Baroness is the Baroness. Harley Quinn, never been a Harley Quinn fan. I don't dislike her, and I have, you know, tried to get into her a lot. I'm not a crazy chick, right? And I don't really like crazy chicks, like where she's kooky crazy. I don't like her voice. Her voice to me is off-putting, and I really can't stand when like ASMR girls or like girls online that like try to like do role play videos and stuff, and they do her voice. Oh God, that is so. Oh, that's so annoying for me personally. I just can't take it. Whenever I hear a girl try to do the Harley Quinn voice, it's just like I'm regurgitating everything I just had, even if it's days ago. But I mean, she's super sexy. You know, they're all over the place. She's a lesbian. She's not a lesbian. I don't know. Blah blah blah. It doesn't matter. But you know, I can see. Obviously, she's popular, and she can carry her own book. Zatanna, love Zatanna. She's got a new book coming out, by the way. I'm not really a big fan of the art on it yet. I'll have to check it out, but I like Zatanna a lot. I mean, I'm a sucker for that look, that dark brunette, jet black hair, you know, girl. Abby Chase, again, we're back to the Danger Girl. We've covered all 3 Danger Girls now. I loved it when it came out. I bought it right off the shelf when it first came out. I got the sketchbook around here somewhere. It's probably in the shelf. But anyways, yeah. Again, I liked the girl in the cat suit the more. Can't remember what her name is now. Carol Danvers, I'm currently subscribing to her comic. I currently like it. Now look at, she's also in the top 25, so that's why they have her in her own comic book right now, right? I mean, I'm subscribed to it. I haven't got my first issue yet, because I just subscribed to it like a month ago, so I'm supposed to get one now in June. The June 19th issue I'm supposed to get. So I'll start with there. I mean, I've been reading it online up until then, but that's where I'll start getting the physical copies, and then I'll start doing some reviews on it. The outfit she's wearing, I'm warming up to it. I'm not a huge fan of it. And her hair, I'm warming up to it. I still obviously prefer Warbird the most, but they're not going to do Warbird. They're not going to put her in Warbird. I don't know. Maybe they will put her in Warbird costume. Yeah, an action figure coming out of it. She-Hulk. I don't think there's anything for me left to say on She-Hulk. If you've been watching my channel, you know my love of the She-Hulk. And she's carrying her own comic book. At number 24, I find that to be a little low, but, whatever. Rogue, I've said, I've made my peace with Rogue. My Rogue... Can she carry her own book, though? Again, I don't think she needs to. I think she's just fine in an X title. I don't mind a limited series or anything like that, but I mean, if she was to go into her own solo book, she's going to be featuring X-Men so many times coming into the book that what's the point? What is the point in having her in her own book at that point? I'd like her to be featured more, but I mean, it's just, wishful thinking. Wonder Woman. You probably know my situation in Wonder Woman. I think she's a great character. I never liked the costume redesign. I like the old costume redesign. I like the legs. I like the bikini briefs. I don't like the armored skirt. I don't like the armor in general. I wasn't really a fan of the sword and shield either. I thought, like, just the way she classic Wonder Woman, not like really Silver Age classic, but I like just the classic Wonder Woman. That's my favorite. But she's a great character. Obviously, like her a lot. She's well beyond a fan favorite. Donna Troy. Actually, here's the thing. I like Donna Troy better than I like Wonder Woman. It's young Wonder Woman is what it is, right? I like her better. I'm not a huge fan of the Starfield costume. I like the red one better, but it's fine. It's fine. Poison Ivy. I'm hit or miss on Poison. She is carrying her own book, by the way, right now. And I like the art. The story's a little, It's not that it's bad. It's just, for me personally, it just doesn't hit a lot of the beats that I like. So I kind of, turned off of that. And I am enjoying Donna in the Titans comic. Elektra, I've never been a huge Elektra fan. Even back to like Elektra Assassin and stuff like that. I've never been a huge fan of her. I know she's the current Daredevil or whatever. I mean, she's a dark-haired girl, brunette. She got crazy hair there in that picture. I mean, I've never been a Daredevil fan. I don't dislike him, and I think he looked cool, but I never liked the story of Daredevil. I just thought he looked neat as a kid when I first saw him. I had the Secret Wars action figure of him, but when I started, it's like, it's too much everything's too Catholic. I don't like all that Catholic-y stuff. Nothing against Catholic. It's just, I don't want to hear Catholic-y, just non-stop Catholic stuff. It's just like, I know, I get it. I understand, right? Whatever. It's just, the whole storyline just doesn't appeal to me. Love Scarlet Witch. She's got a new series coming out. Obviously, as Perch pointed out, it's the same writer did the old series, and she's being another series. We'll see what happens with it. I'd like her to lose this and show some more leg, but I guess we probably won't get that. I love Scarlet Witch. Witchblade. There's a character, 90s character. I collected up to like issue like 30 or 40 back in the day. I collected a lot of them and read most of them. I think I might have stopped reading them after a while and just kept getting the issues until I just kind of called it quits on it. But, saw the movie and blah, blah, blah. I mean, she was a very 90s character. And, I mean, her sex appeal is what made her popular. I mean, the story's... it was okay. I wasn't a huge fan of the whole, I don't know, basically the symbiote alien type of thing, but whatever. Caitlin Fairchild, I'm surprised she's that high on the list. I am very surprised because I did a parody comic last year and people were asking me, who's that? They didn't know who she was. I'm surprised she's this high on the list. Obviously Gen 13, I love Caitlin Fairchild. I used to kind of like Roxy a little bit more just because she had that more 90s alternate chick, gothy chick like look, but I think when it comes down to it, I just like Caitlin Fairchild, especially when she had the legs hanging out, those really long legs. They were, you know, ridiculously, cartoonishly long. I am highly surprised she's that high on the list. I would assume she could carry her own book. I don't know why they don't bring her back and have her carry her own book. Preferably not in that costume. Just bring her back their old costume. Red Sonja, there's not really a lot to say about Red Sonja. Red Sonja is Red Sonja, and clearly they've got comics right now. I found the most current ones, and I'm going to read through them and see what's going on with Red Sonja. She's a classic character. Starfire, I love Starfire. I love her in Titans. I just like Starfire. She's very appealing. There she is, Lady Death. I figured she'd show up. Great looking character. I love the red and the black and the cape. Sorry, I'm starting to fall apart towards the end of this. We've already gone an hour. I'm just gonna bowl through to get to the end because all of these characters, I mean, they kind of speak for themselves at this point. If I do anything more with some of these characters, I'm going to read their comics and then I'll do reviews on what I think of the specific comic. But Mystique again. I mean, these are your A-listers here. Mira. I don't know why Mira got. I guess just because of the movies. That's why she got so high. Jean Grey. She got a series coming out. Emma Frost. Emma Frost. Obviously, she's going to be a fan favorite. Black Canary, who's DC's Emma Frost. Right? You know, people like their blondes. I like the dark black hair myself personally, but I like my blondes too. I like them all. I don't think there's the redheads, the blondes, the brown hair, the, you know, Asian, black. I don't care. I love them all. Like them all. Barbara Gordon, obviously, Batgirl's Batgirl. Again, I mean, these are kind of self-explanatory. Death, I'm surprised they put Death that high, but I guess she is pretty darn popular. Black Cat, obviously. Everybody loves Black Cat. Betsy Braddock. I would not put Betsy Braddock that high on the list. I mean, maybe the Psylocke, the Jim Lee Psylocke, when she's got the thong, you know, maybe that, but I don't know about this Betsy Braddock. I don't know. Guess I gotta look there. See, they have Dawn at number 3. I can't find any Dawn. I found one series of Dawn comics, and it's not the original. I need to find the original Dawn comics so I can read them, and I'll tell you what I think about Dawn. Dawn was one of those other ones back in the 90s that I would see all over the shelves in the comic book shops when I got back in town, and it was like, what is this? And obviously she let her own. I'm surprised at that. Okay, here's 2 and 1. 1 and 2. I thought they'd put Catwoman at number 1. I'm surprised they put Vampirella at number 1. I mean, I guess she's pretty popular. I'm going to read through some of the current Vampirellas. I've always loved Vampirella. I mean, she's got that look. That's the look I'm talking about. That jet black hair. Yeah, I'm not a big vampire person, but I can make an exception when it comes to Vampirella. And then, of course, Catwoman. Latest issue Catwoman, I wasn't really a big fan. I wasn't really that fond of it. Nah, it was okay. I just didn't get the jump between the 2 issues where she made it back to Earth, and then she woke up in that board or whatever. I didn't get that. But I guess I'll get around to doing that too as well. All right, sorry. Oh man, I am done. I can't. I got nothing left on this video. Vampirella number 1. I'm just surprised. I'd say she's definitely an A-lister, but I wouldn't put her at number 1. I'm surprised they put her at number 1. But yeah, okay. So that's the list. like I said, if I forgot anybody that you can think of, let me know. If you know where to score some of those Dawn comics online, let me know. I can't find them anywhere. Like literally the for not the I know that showed up in the late '80s in like a black and white. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about like the color ones from the '90s. But again, so I'm gonna go through and try to source some of these characters in their comics, and I'm gonna start with the earliest ones and read through them, and I'll do a review, and I'll tell you what I think. You know, like I said, if I tell me who your favorite is on this list, I guess I could do a poll and poll everybody. I've done polls in the past, and they seem to go all over the place. But obviously, this list was probably compiled with polls. So, who's your favorite character, female character, and do you think that female character that you do like is your favorite? Can they lead their own book? Can they, or are they already in their own book and they're doing successful? Here's my closing thoughts are, in regards to Perch's video, is there are a lot of, sure, I don't think Wonder Woman, I don't like the Tom King stuff, but sure, Wonder Woman in her own book is probably not going to outsell Superman or Batman. That's just a given. But she's obviously sold enough to where she's sticking around. She-Hulk's, they got Captain Marvel, which is Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, and the Spider-Woman, right? The three of my favorite comics from back in the day. And they're currently doing comics of those three characters. And they're A-listers, so they're sticking around, We'll see. We'll see what happens with this stuff. Do I think that they can go 50 issues? I don't know. We gotta wait and see. I mean, a lot of it's just, let's just see what happens. I don't want to make any crazy judgments right away. I'm guessing you gotta have your gut feeling what you think it's going to do. Sure. I don't really have a gut feeling right now in those three comics. I just feel like they're fine, and it seem like they're good. I mean, not just because they're the only really Marvel comics that I'm subscribed to, but we'll see where they go. All right, my endurance is starting to get low. All you can't remember, can't believe I did all those hour-long videos back in the day. I can't really. I went an hour, and I'm just like, oh. Maybe I'm hungry too, so I'm going to get some din-din. Alright, I will catch you guys on the next video, whatever that may be. Alright, bye-bye.